Hey, welcome into our KOAM studios. John Dale's joined by the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. Mitch, thanks for coming down to Pittsburgh.
Love it. Love it when I get a chance to do it, especially during football season, because I know at all levels, including high school all the way up to us, it's a big deal here.
That's right, it certainly is. Chiefs Kingdom runs deep here in the 4 states. And let's talk a little bit Chiefs. Before we talk about this year's team, I want to talk about that Super Bowl victory back in February, the overtime win against the 49ers for a second consecutive Super Bowl title. I know you've been a part of a lot of Chiefs games in the booth. Where does that one rank for games that you've called, games that you've seen?
Yeah, I've been asked that a lot, John, and honestly, it's like, which child do you love the most? Every Super Bowl victory has its own unique theme, if you will, but this one, to win it back-to-back. And I remember the night before the game thinking, if they do win it, what do I say? It's been not quite 20 years, but that doesn't sound right. So I figured out it's 6,944 days. But to win it in overtime, to get to that back-to-back Super Bowl championship, and this is the way it happened, and then setting it up with what happened in the week succeeding it, it's like binge-watching Ted Lasso. And even Ted Lasso's writers couldn't write that script. Not to win a -28 wind chill game at home and then go to Buffalo and to Baltimore and beat that San Francisco team. It was a remarkable run with a team that had 6 losses in the regular season.
Being around the team, being around the organization, after that Super Bowl win, after celebrating it, how quickly did everybody in the organization, everybody involved with the team, move forward to, we want a three-peat, we want to focus on what's next?
About 5 minutes. Truthfully, when the franchise came out with our post show that we do with 65 TPT, they caught Patrick mic'd up and the confetti's just falling on his head. And he goes to Chris Jones and says, you're not going anywhere because we're going for a three-peat. Remember, Chris Jones was the biggest free agent signing for any team throughout the offseason. We were able to keep him and didn't let him get to the open market and somebody to steal him from us. So it was that quick with Patrick Mahomes. And this year, since that Super Bowl game and these succeeding months, you don't have to say a word. Nobody has to say anything, but it's in everybody's eyes every day. I saw it go all the way back to March. It's been that way throughout training camp and here in the preseason, that everybody knows what's at stake. Nobody has to say anything. You just lock your jaw and move on to the next day.
Let's talk about this year's team. Right now, as we record this, the Chiefs play their final preseason game tomorrow against the Bears. One of the bigger question marks on this team on the defensive side is who's going to be that cornerback 2 for the Chiefs. What have you seen from that position group?
You know what? A lot of things keep me up at night. That doesn't, because I see how Steve Spagnuolo will adjust. And there are so many guys that are there that can fill that role, but it also changes based on scheme and approach for that single play. Like, we'll play nickel with 3 safeties. We'll play dime with 3 safeties. We'll go traditional nickel or traditional dime, depending on the setup. But I'm not sure there's going to be a single CB2, if you will, but I don't worry about it because you have Najee Johnson, you've got Joshua Williams, you've got Jalen Watson, and so that's a group of corners that I have confidence with, whether they're 1, 2, 3, or 4. And there's times all those guys will be on the field at the same time.
On the offensive side of the ball, one of the areas that caused stress for Chiefs fans, caused stress, I'm sure, for players in the Chiefs organization last year, was the wide receiver position. It just took a while to get things ironed out. This year, coming into the season, Hollywood Brown suffers an injury. What do you expect from the wide receivers this year?
Well, I'll answer a question with a question. Do you think the Chiefs will have 45 drops again this year?
I don't, no.
Okay, I don't either. So that means if you just get that back to 50%, you're going to add 200 to 300 yards right there to the total based on the average. My answer to you is the third level of the offense is open for business again. This is like you going back to one of your college haunts and it's closed, and then you go back 2 years later and it's open and it's thriving. The Chiefs are going to be able for any time, the Chiefs will be able, more than any time probably in the Patrick Mahomes era, to attack both vertically and horizontally. The entire 53-yard width of the field and the entire length of the field based on where the football is. And that makes it very exciting. Hollywood Brown does it. Xavier Worthy can do it. Rice becomes a Deebo Samuel clone, tackle breaker guy. It was unfortunate with Hollywood's injury, so eerie. It was the same rare injury, about a 1% chance of it happening again, happened in Jacksonville. But we'll hopefully have Hollywood Browns back sooner than later. But I'm just telling you, the 2019-ish, 2020-ish Chiefs of attacking you deep is back.
No matter who you have at wide receiver, You obviously have Travis Kelce at tight end, and the guy throwing the ball is Patrick Mahomes, 28 years old, entering his 7th year as a starter for the Chiefs. Can you put things into perspective? I know everybody knows how good he is, but what you've seen from Patrick Mahomes getting better, elevating his game every year, when that seems almost impossible when we see what he does.
He is the NFL's all-time leader in almost every quarterback metric. When you look at a 6-year starter, book to book, all the way to all the great quarterbacks of all time. But he did something last year that I think was a little bit sneaky. He has the all-time average passing yards per game at 296.1 yards. Last year he won 5 regular season games and 3 of the 4 playoff victories under that average. My analogy with that is the fastball pitcher. It's Max Scherzer, who could throw 95 on the black and then develop a backdoor slider and a nasty cutter where you're going, now what am I going to hit? Patrick Mahomes has proven he can win any game, anywhere, in any fashion. And that's the most dangerous thing you can tell anybody else in the NFL.
Yeah, and obviously that target on the Chiefs' back just keeps getting bigger and bigger the way that they've succeeded in the playoffs. Looking at who stands in their way of a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl trophy, even just getting there in the AFC is so loaded with quarterbacks. What teams stand out to you as the biggest threats to the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, in these 5 years, the last 5 years, we've had the toughest AFC schedule. Last year, we had 5 straight games in December where teams had either 9 or 14 days to get ready for us. Had never happened in the history of the NFL. So I'm not saying that with hubris, trying to stand humble here, but if it's a difficult schedule, okay, bring it on. And yes, the target is way bigger. But this team has developed a sense of toughness and a way of kind of navigating through these long, tough roads to get where they want to go. But this team, too, defensively, I think they'll be better. I just think they could be better across the board. And let's try it not going 11-6 this year.
Yeah, and same question that I asked you about Patrick Mahomes can kind of be applied to Andy Reid. He's been in the NFL for so long, too. How have you seen him get better and better as a head coach each year?
The most underrated coach in NFL history. He's 4th all-time in NFL wins. He's at 26 postseason wins. That's second to Belichick. If Belichick stays stuck in the mud and that 31 number sticks, Andy could pass him up very quickly. There's that. But the fact that he stays proactive and creative. We've got stuff that we haven't run yet. You won't see it till you see it. But I saw it this spring, and I talked to Coach about it because he's experimenting with something that, if it works, every team at every level will run it. The Gorillas may run it. Missouri Southern may run it. Lamar and, I don't know, Northeast Armor may run it. But the point is he stays proactive and creative. He's got an incredibly creative quarterback, incredibly smart quarterback, but he's using ways to get guys open that he never just stays stuck where he's at. He's phenomenal as a head coach, and not enough people talk about him nationally.
You talk about that creativity. One of the things we saw in the preseason was Patrick Mahomes going behind the back with a pass. Is there any way we see that or something like that in the regular season, in the playoffs maybe?
Yes, and I saw it twice during the training camp in St. Joseph, and it was way better than what you saw the other day. That one was kind of wobbly, and I'm mad because my play call wasn't great on it. I want it to be pristine, so I'm still mad about it because I saw it in camp going, oh my gosh, I got to be ready for this, but it was way better in camp. So, yeah, you're going to see it, especially in that kind of play where there's think of a shovel pass or those tight end shovel passes we run with Kelce. You could see it on that. You could see it in some other play or just some ad lib play. But, yeah, you're going to see it. But it's Mahomes and Steph Curry being in the same body.
Yeah, and it sounds like we should have another exciting season for the Chiefs. Mitch, thanks for coming down and talking with us.
You got it. I love the way you guys cover the high schools and colleges here. It's so important to this region. That's why I follow it every week. I love to follow it, and you guys do an awesome job of keeping everybody right on point.
Of course, we appreciate it. We'll be back after this.